So today I'm actually doing research today on for one of my classes, and it's going to be I'm trying to do it in a technical type of format because my goal is to address a non-technical audience, that is. And the topic that I'm using is the Carnot cycle, which is a famous thermodynamical concept for which is used mostly by chemical engineers, to be exact. It's considered the most efficient type of engine. Just a little overview of what it's about. Now, generally, like this, in general, when I do research, I prefer doing most of it online because that's technically it's the most effective way of doing it. The first thing I do is I do go through Google. I go onto Google itself and start just typing in like keywords, like the most common or exact keywords, and try to find articles or different or useful sites where which are not only relevant but give you adequate information to help you understand what it's all about. Now, I don't want to try to do the super. I do not want to do the superficial way, which would be the Wikipedia. Don't entirely rely on that because it's not always accurate. Go to something more, which are based on like it could be off sometimes links to some certain papers with other schools, or it could be with or it can be with any other website itself that which is relevant to what it is. And that's generally, and when I do the research process, I also I generally take notes on the key points and I try to do it in a sequence. So that way, when it's time to actually put it together, put the ideas together, and try to set up the relevant questions to write a technical paper, it comes out more effectively. But I have to make sure at the same time I'm clear about what I'm saying. So when I explain it, even they all understand, even the audience is able to understand what I'm exactly talking about and why. And what's the purpose of it? Why is this being done? And links that I know that are of and generally like links that I know that are of relevance will usually be that I find relevance. I always copy keep those links and save those. As a matter of fact, and I consider that inside when it's for my reference sheet because after all, when you do a technical paper, it's always important to have your references and where so that way and just to minimize any possible risk of plagiarism or anything of that sort because we don't want that happening now. So we want to make sure you get from some credible websites. And there are quite a number of different good ones out there. They give you a clear idea of what to do. So when you do the research, explain it clearly, talk about examples like pros and cons. You can do all kinds of different things with it. And this is the type of thing which would I believe would apply to practically every different type of topic that anyone wants to look for. And and generally it's one of the more common ways of doing it. So just try to follow the norm in that sense. And what I do is, and as I did say before, since I usually when I start typing up my stuff, since I put it in a Word file, and I also and as I take the notes, I keep saving it, and also keep and as I find more links or useful sites, I also add those into it as well, and then. And then after that, and then after I do some of that, then I try to go into then I would try to go into like the school library's website and see if I could locate a book or any like research journal, anything that could be anything that's been and try to type in keywords and everything, so that way I'd be able to try to narrow it down. And even though doing it that aspect of it does take a little bit more time, but it ends up helping because it's just a matter of looking carefully to find exactly what you're looking for, which is relevant to what you're trying to present. Because they tend to give it a little bit more deeper than what you would normally see from other websites, and I say this in terms of like information that they give you and how we can and the type of format that they use. I do that part next, and after that I'm able to start sequencing it and start putting it all together. And of course, when it comes to doing a paper like that, you got to go through a whole lot of different I would say multiple drafts to be able to get to an eventual finished project itself. That's how, and generally that's how I would do that for any kind of a topic, depending what it is, because it takes me a little time, actually quite a good dose of time, to be able to put it all together, know exactly what to look for, go in a step-by-step fashion, and eventually be able to present it together in in a more I'd say per se professional fashion. That's generally how I do the research though, and I do tend to and I split into good parts each day to get that done more effectively, and I think that really carries it a long way in the long run. That is, and and there are going to be times where I feel like I can try to get a little creative in the terms in sense of maybe changing a little bit of the words, but still something related to it, or maybe try an advanced search online. Sometimes that does help, though. Sometimes that does help because it can kind of narrow it down even further to what you're looking for. And once in a while, if it ever has to go that far, you know, it's kind of rare, I would say, but in my case especially, and I'm sure it differs for everyone, but if and only if it goes this far, I would probably consider checking out an actual book from the library and then try in order to see if I can get any extra points out of there, which I could include in it for the presentation and overall. And but most of it I just leave it for the library journals and the and researching online. That's how I like to do that though, because well, it's not just doing effective research, but also being efficient at the same time, and that's something that I know basically all professors tend to look for. That's how I generally do the research. And everything. Let's see, and as I do look through each, and what I do is like when I look through each of these websites, I just see what are the key points, and if there's any diagram that helps a person understand it. It's because sometimes just one of the things I do understand is because going through school, I know that if you just do only the reading and don't see a diagram, it's harder to understand stuff. So I want to make sure that if a non-technical audience reads it, they see a picture to give them more of a visual idea of what's really going on or of the big picture. So it's kind of a two-way road in that sense. Because for example, because if I was because I try to imagine if I was trying to learn something new, a diagram always helps me out. So kind of works both ways in this sense. And let's see. And then there are also times I also come across like certain PDF files which also can help in terms of giving information, and if it goes to the point of a YouTube video, I even do that also. YouTube can kind of show you what they're actually doing. Generally, that's how I like to, because there's a wide variety of ways to actually look for information and to get what you actually need and to get to where you want to be. And that's let's see. Let's see. Yeah, I think I'm not sure what else I can say.